In 1949, with the 1600F, Hasselblad released a successful new type of camera, the medium format SLR. This type of camera offered the perfect compromise between framing precision with its reflex viewfinder and portability plus excellent image quality thanks to medium format film. 8 years later, the Eastern Bloc joined the party with two cameras, the Practice 6, whose evolution would be the Pentacon 6, and the Salyut, which would later become the Kiev 80 or 88. In the Eastern Bloc, these cameras were financially inaccessible to the general public. They were reserved for an elite such as official journalists or photo studios. However, the same was not true abroad. Since the Soviet Union needed foreign currency, they exported a lot of their camera production. For most people in the West, Hasselblad or other Japanese options were financially out of reach. These Eastern Bloc cameras, sold for 4 to 10 times less, allowed a lot of people in the West to afford a medium format SLR camera. The longevity of these cameras is also impressive. The Pentacon 6 series has been produced from 1957 to 1992, and the Soviet cameras went even further, surviving the end of the Soviet Union. Their production gradually stopped around the 2000s. If you wonder why, unlike its Soviet cousin, the East German Pentacon 6 stopped being produced in 1992, it's because of the reunification of Germany and the passage to a capitalist economy. In this new profit-oriented environment, higher labor costs and a cumbersome and oversized organization made Pentacon a largely unprofitable company that no one wanted to take over. On the other hand, labor costs for Kiev cameras in Ukraine were very low. If you have watched this video so far, my guess is that you find what I say interesting, so take a second to thank me by liking this video. Now, let's talk about the cameras. I've got my hands on all the 3 series. All these cameras come with both a waist level finder, which is the natural option, and a prism viewfinder. The camera that I enjoyed the most was the Pentacon 6. I have used multiple medium format SLR cameras, Pentax, Kiev, and Bronica, but the Pentacon 6 is the camera that I have found the most pleasing to use because of its handling. When you put a Pentacon 6 next to a box-shaped medium format SLR, you come to a conclusion pretty quickly. One is shaped for your hands, and the other one is purely functional without any regards for the pleasure of using it. And the Pentacon 6 is not just about being pleasant to use. Its ergonomics makes it the perfect camera for handheld photography. For this purpose, the shape of the camera, the waist-level viewfinder, the proper damping of the mirror, and the placement of the shutter button are huge advantages. All you have to do is press the camera on your stomach to become a living tripod. But the Pentacon 6 has a drawback, its reliability. For example, you have to be gentle and not push the lever too harshly while winding the camera to preserve the gears. And this camera also needs periodical revisions to work fine. In 1971, the Soviet Union created another camera adopting the mount and waist level finder philosophy of the Pentacon 6, the Kiev 6C, which would later evolve into the Kiev 60. The Kiev 60, despite adopting the same ergonomics, is not as pleasant to use. I prefer the smoother mechanism, shape, and balance of the Pentacon 6. Kiev 60 biggest plus against the Pentacon 6 is its sturdier mechanical design, but don't expect too much in terms of reliability either. Quality control on the Kiev 60 was sloppy and may negatively affect the camera's work. The Kiev 80 series is the one I liked the least. In terms of design, being box-shaped makes it less pleasant to use, but you will be able to change film backs. Unfortunately, it also suffers from the same quality control ailments of the Kiev 60 and seems a lot more brittle than the other 2 cameras. Other less-known Eastern Bloc medium format SLR cameras were the Exacta 66, which is an enhanced Pentacon 6 with rubber on its surface, and the Kiev 90 and 645, which are 2 unreliable electronic 645 cameras. Now, let's talk about the lenses. I've used Bronica's S lenses, Nikkor, and Zenzenon, and I don't find the Soviet lenses I've used to be in a different league. As you can see on the pictures, the results are quite good. They are sharp and don't have the flat perspective rendering of other Soviet lenses. That being said, I did occasionally run into flare issues when shooting into strong backlight. In terms of choice, you'll find everything you need, from a 30mm fisheye to telephoto lenses. I have not tested any East German lenses, but some like the Sonar 180mm carry excellent reputation. So, the lenses of the system are competitive and a definite plus. Just a quick aside, if you want to learn photography creative process and composition, not just hacks or magical techniques, you'll find the content you need on Electroposa. To conclude, we can ask ourselves if those Eastern Bloc medium format gears are still worth it today. I would say a big yes for the lenses. However, I cannot say the same thing about the cameras. Some workshops sell made reliable version of Kiev 60 and 80. But even with that, these cameras still behind Japanese competitors Bronica or Hasselblad in terms of reliability and precision. And as analog photography is less practiced nowadays, the price of cameras and lenses are now similar to Bronica, Mamiya, or Pentax alternatives. And if you want to use East German or Soviet lenses, there are also adapters for more reliable cameras such as the Pentax 645 or Mamiya 645. So, unless you are passionate, absolutely want a 6x6 format, or enjoy the great handling of the Pentacon 6, you can avoid these cameras. At a similar price, you'll get more reliable cameras that will require fewer repairs in the long run.